Hey Danny, how you doing, man?
Are you talking to me?
I don't see anybody else here. You talking to me?
You must be talking to me. It's like, yeah. I know that's like a conversation that he's imagining, but like,
Yeah.
it's like, how many times are you gonna ask the fucking mirror? And you don't. I'm the only one here, so you must be. So well done.
The weirdest thing about that conversation, though, is that, like, the implication is that he's imagining the other person is saying, no, I'm not talking to you. No. It's like, I mean, Martin Scorcese, mate. No, not Martin Scorcese. What's his name? Robert De Niro. You're not that imposing until you reveal your... this machine I have attached to my arm, which will undoubtedly blow my hand clean off.
You know,
Yeah.
But have you ever done that?
What?
No! Have you ever had an imagined conversation with someone?
Oh,
to see how it would go in your head? Like a sort of really... almost like a film. Let's say maybe someone that you don't like, and you find yourself just sort of speaking as if, oh really? And then you say these really cool things that you would just never say in real life.
I know what you mean. The place
that.
I do that is the shower.
Yeah.
It's like, that's where you have all the conversations that will never actually happen in real life.
So I understand. Most films don't do that. Most films, they just have these cool sort of quotes and things like that. But I like it that it's a bit more real. It's like most people would probably say a cool thing to themselves while they're looking in the mirror, and then never say that to the person that they're trying to have an argument with.
A famous example is the Rolling Stones were on tour, and I forget where they were in the end, but I forgot his name. The drummer, anyway, was in this hotel room, like, having food, or, like, in bed, or whatever.
Yeah.
And Mick Jagger was in his room, like, as in his own room, distinct to the drummers. And he was, like, with a couple of girls, and he was drinking, and he called up the drummer's room and said, can you come down to my room? I need my drummer. And then the drummer went and had a shower, brushed his teeth, had a shave, put a suit on, and went to Mick Jagger's room and said, I'm not your drummer, you're my fucking singer, and punched him in the face.
That didn't happen.
Apparently it did. Loads of people have said that it did. I mean, I don't know what the original source is. If the original source is, like, the drummer's autobiography, then yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it's Mick Jagger's autobiography, maybe. Does Mick Jagger have an autobiography?
I don't know. I'll search it.
I don't even know if Mick Jagger's literate.
Yeah,
he must be, right?
Yeah, just so everyone knows, the 10-minute bullshit has now started.
Yeah, we apologies if you're new to the podcast, but we are exclusively gone straight into the 10-minute bullshit.
Yeah, Mick. How do you spell Mick Jagger? Oh shit!
MC-J.
You're never gonna believe. I've just typed in MC and then Jagger as if it's like
MC Jagger, like MC Hammer.
Yeah, or like Mac.
He wears very tight trousers instead of like very very baggy MC Hammer trousers. It's the opposite.
Oh fucking hell! Right, Mick Jagger.
Don't worry, folks. I'll cut this down in the edit.
Autobiography. Yeah, he does. Mick Jagger, in his own words.
Oh, very good. I thought you were going to Google whether that anecdote I told actually happened, but no.
No, I don't give a fuck about that. I just want to know if he's got an autobiography.
Oh, God. You know, he became a father again at 79.
Oh.
I think it was. Isn't that crazy?
That is minging. Kids.
Fucking... Yeah.
Unless,
I mean...
You know, never mind. I hate kids. I mean,
Oh.
no, they're lovely creatures.
Yes, Danny, very good. Do you have the wheel of bullshit? Do we need a wheel of bullshit? Is that the time?
Yeah, I'll do it, right. Okay.
Okay, hit me with it, man.
I mean, enough stress. I'm under enough stress, is it?
You know what? I every time you do it, I say to myself, next time I'm going to Foley in, like, something from Wheel of Fortune or something like that. But I'm never going to.
Do it now, right? Just
no, I'm not going to. I just think it's going to be better if I don't.
They didn't hear that, right? Just do it. You gonna do it or no? Right, okay. Saturday mashup.
Saturday, yeah, I did it. I was there.
Yeah,
I was in the room.
You were on that, weren't you?
I was on Saturday Mashup. This is true. It was good. I had a lot of fun.
Tell our listeners, give them a cheeky insight into how that went.
It was really good, to be honest with you. To be completely honest, I was quite nervous. Like, I'd done the live links the previous day, and I always get a bit nervous doing them because, like, it's really sort of fast turnaround and stuff. But then by the end of the day, I'd had a lot of fun on that, and I'd got to sleep. Obviously, woken up dead early for Saturday Mashup. Gone into I think it was because I was just round the corner. I was in a hotel round the corner, so I got in there dead early. All the crew were really nice, and this is going to sound really stupid, but I appreciated that they kept telling me the same thing over and over, because that's something that you don't get anywhere other than like the entertainment industry. It's like in the real world, people will tell you something, and then you have to know that thing from then on. Like can you imagine in an office job if somebody came and said to you 5-10 times in an hour, have you got those numbers sorted for me? Have you done that spreadsheet or whatever? So I appreciated that. Like we had Zachary, Chloe, and I had a researcher with us, and he kept telling us things like, okay, you're going to be on in 10 minutes, you're going to be on in 5 minutes. You've got there's food there, there's water, or some stuff like that. So I appreciated, as the forgetful man that I am, being told these things on the regular. So that was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, to be honest with you. Like we did a comedy sketch, which was good. It was set in like I don't know what the word is for it, like a salon almost. The idea was that we were all getting ready for the Oscars. So like I'd gone in and had my makeup done, and Chloe went in and was like, "Oh, I want to look like Kristen Stewart." And then they put a bald cap on her, and the punchline was, "No, that's Patrick Stewart." Ah, you see, that's clever comedy. That is.
It would have been better if they just sort of made her look really bored and uninterested.
But yeah, it was really good at the end.
I'm sorry for digging at you, Kristen, if you're listening.
You know, I actually do think Kristen Stewart's pretty good. She was good in Adventureland. She was good in, what was the other one? American Ultra.
I'm a silly old biased dick because I've only seen her in Twilight.
I've never actually seen Twilight.
I saw her in Snow White and the Huntsman. Do you remember
I don't think
that
I
film?
saw that, to be honest. I think that came out and I meant to go and see it, and then it just passed me by. I think I wasn't sufficiently excited by the trailers and stuff to like go and check it out.
Yeah, I mean, Robert Pattinson, who I thought was a shit actor, has done some amazing stuff recently. So I can imagine that she's probably done what he's done and done some like independent films and just showed off what she can do as an actor. But I haven't seen any of that. I can only go by her bland performance in Twilight.
Well, her and Jesse Eisenberg, I know for a fact, have done 2 films together. They might have done some more, but I know of 2 definitely. They did what was it? They did Adventureland together, and they did American Ultra together, and they're quite a good pairing. Their chemistry's quite good. So that's nice.
What was the recent film she did?
Not sure. I know Robert Pattinson did that black and white film, didn't he? What was it
I
called?
want to see that. The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse, yeah, with Willem Dafoe. Is that out yet, or is that on the way out?
I think it's out in America, but I don't think it's out here yet. We need to review that one, Lewis. That one looks excellent.
It does look good. I saw this really interesting interview with Willem Dafoe where he said that he came up with this theory that Robert Pattinson only thinks he can act when he's out of his depth. Like, apparently before scenes and stuff, Robert Pattinson would, like, beat himself up and stick his fingers down his throat to make himself throw up and all this sort of stuff. It felt like this character that's suffering in whatever way, so he needed to be performing out of his depth sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is, I suppose it's one way to play it, yeah.
I mean, that's the old English way of doing it, isn't it? That's not a joke. Like, genuinely, it's that whole method acting stuff that you get at the universities down south. Not like normal university. Like, I mean, like,
and today we're here for a lecture on advanced mathematics. You need to punch yourself in the face before you try and solve any equations.
You know what I mean? The sort of
I know what you mean.
Yeah. The elitist pig
like RADA and
drama
stuff like
schools. Yeah, those ones where like every single Eddie Redmayne, fucking Benedict Cumberbatch, like Daniel Day-Lewis, all those people.
You said that like you have a personal vendetta against RADA. Yeah, RADA, those elitists.
No, not RADA. Just the culture of it. It's like, I mean, I'm fascinated by the concept of method acting, but I have never, in my life, thought, you know, the best way to do this is to pretend to be the person the entire time that I'm there.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to think that I'm an absolute cock. You know, I've heard stories, and you hear stories from people, and you don't know whether they're lying or not. But like, there was a guy when I was in Doctors. There was a guy who apparently knows someone who was on a Daniel Day-Lewis film. So there's about 8 degrees of separation before you actually get to the story.
Right.
But I think it was Gangs of New York, where he was playing a character called Bill the Butcher, and his manager or whatever, his booking agent or whatever, phoned up a hotel and said, we need to book someone pretty high profile. Would that be okay? And they went, yes, but who is it? And they were like, well,
I think I can see where you go with this.
Yeah. So they said, well, right, okay, this is going to sound really stupid, but it's Daniel Day-Lewis. But I know that you have to speak to Daniel in order to get his details and things like that. But when you speak to him, you're not going to be speaking to Daniel. You're going to be speaking to Bill. And can you imagine being the person on the other end of the phone just going, what? So
it's a bit insane, isn't it?
Yeah, this is alleged. I have no idea whether this is true, but apparently he was on the phone with them in accent and everything, and was speaking the way Bill would speak. And Bill is not a very pleasant character, if you've seen.
With the name The Butcher, I don't imagine he's like a philanthropist or anything.
Yeah, so apparently he was swearing down the phone at them, and he wouldn't sign his name. He wouldn't sign Daniel Day-Lewis.
He had to sign Bill the Butcher or whatever.
He would only sign Bill the Butcher, and I don't know how they did it, but the hotel sort of worked it out and was like, yeah, he can sign at the end of the shooting, I believe, who this is. That's fine. But
right.
I mean, that's just being a fucking dick, isn't it?
It is. The thing I don't get about method acting is, I guess I would understand it for something like a play, or perhaps something that you are filming in sequence like that. But if you're filming a big film, or even a TV show where you're filming episodes out of sequence, or you're filming perhaps like an effect after a cause or before a cause, or do you know what I mean? If you're filming things out of sequence, how can the character justify that in their mind? I don't. It doesn't quite ring. Well, I mean, it must work because Daniel Day-Lewis has got like a trophy cabinet full of Oscars. But
yes.
But I don't think it's the thing for me. It's not how I'd want to do it. Like
no, and Daniel Day-Lewis is my favourite actor of all time, and that's just that goes without saying. But if he's behaving like that, I'd no idea whether it's true. The guy could have been talking complete shite, but if he is behaving like that, I think that's just being a cock. I mean,
yeah, that's Daniel Kerr's advice to succeeding in the industry. Don't be a cock.
Yeah, he's got 3 Oscars. It's like, come on, fuck's sake.
What do you reckon the collective noun is for a group of Oscars? A gilding?
Entitlement, maybe? Undeserved?
Should we do some actual podcasting, or would you like to do some more bullshit?
I don't know. I've got no more bullshit. If you've got any, then I'm willing to hear it.
Well, I had some emergency backup bullshit. Like I made some naan breads this morning.
Yeah, I saw that on your story.
They are delightfully tasty.
I was highly disturbed by it. I was at work, as you know, Lewis, and
yeah.
When you're on your break and you're looking forward to a wee 20 minutes of relaxation from the hard labours of menial life, and then you go onto your Instagram and you see a grown man cooking naan bread. It just sort of puts things into perspective for you a little bit.
Would you rather it was someone else making naan bread? A child, perhaps?
Yeah, I don't think it's the person that's making it. I just think that the only context I have of naan bread is getting like a takeaway or something like that. I've never seen anyone make naan bread before, so it was just a little disconcerting. I'd never seen it before. It was an experience, Lewis.
I see. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, well, I mean...
One thing I do want to say before we get into the podcast is, on our last Whispering into the Void, we were talking about an episode of Doctor Who, and we said, oh, it's got these people in it, and it's directed by someone, and we couldn't remember who it was directed by. Well, Simon Lowe, friend of the show, has got in touch with us via Instagram and said that it was Emma Sullivan. So, Emma Sullivan, please do not kill me in my sleep. I really enjoyed that. Did you?
I'm sure I said Emma Sullivan. Do you know what? Fucking listen. Right, we're getting it up.
Okay, are you going to listen to the podcast live on air?
They can't copyright our own content.
Who's they? It would be me.
They! The ominous they.
I'm going to email you and say, can I have some money? Not so bad. It started snowing here, which is nice. February. Earlier in the series, they tried to make a few... Charlene... You actually are listening to the podcast live on air.
It's not live, is it?
Well, it's not great, but I get what you mean. Right. Today we're talking about some Doctor Who, aren't we? This is it now. This is the bit. Which is an episode of the 12th series of Doctor Who.
Yep.
And it stars Jodie Whittaker, Bradley Cooper, Mandip Gill, and Tosin Cole.
You don't.
It was quite a strange one to have Bradley Cooper in it instead of Bradley Walsh, but I quite like the choice. I thought it was nice. It was a nice change of pace to have Bradley Cooper in there.
Oh God!
This is perhaps the laziest form of podcasting.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of Bradley Walsh's name. I was like, Bradley Cooper.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a good one. I think it was all right. It was written by Chibster and a guest writer whose name I can't remember off the top of my head.
Charlene James.
I see.
And it was
good old Charlene James.
Yeah, and it was directed by Emma Sullivan.
So you did say it.
So I did say it, bitch.
Goodness me.
I
did not realise that.
I mean, I don't know why I got so angry over that. I mean, it's really not that important.
I would like to say to people that I almost certainly will have cut down whatever bit of our previous podcast you just heard. Because we just sat here and listened to the podcast for a good 5 minutes. It feels like a very strange way to fact check our past selves.
Yeah, just if you got it wrong, go onto Spotify and just pull up the most recent one. I mean, it's like it's quite a precarious way of living, Lewis. It's like you say a whole bunch of bullshit for half an hour, and then someone calls you out on it, and you have to wade through the next time and find what you said. But I did say, I knew I said it. I knew I'd said it. I make a point of saying it every single time. So Simon, as much as I revere and respect you, you were wrong on this one.
Indeed. What film were we talking about today, Dan?
We're talking about Taxi Driver.
We are.
Yes, and it was directed by, just so no one get, it was directed by Emma Sullivan. No, it was directed by Martin Scorcese. It was written by Paul Schrader, and it's starring Robert De Niro, Harvey Keitel, Jodie Foster, and a couple others that I don't know.
Who did Harvey Keitel play in this? Because I was looking out for him and I didn't recognise any of the characters as looking remarkably like Harvey Keitel.
You know the pimp sport?
Oh! Shit, right, okay. Sounds like Harvey Keitel. I don't actually know what he looks like. Okay.
You know the Wolf adverts?
Yeah.
Winston Wolf adverts is like, and he's talking to...
Coffee for you, Mr... Was it Coffee for you, Mr. Wolf? Extra cream, extra sugar. That one.
Yeah, and it's like, it's time for you to disappear. You know that guy?
Yeah.
And then it goes down, and he drives off. That's Harvey Keitel.
I've googled him now. He looks very different in the present day, which might be why I did not recognise him at all.
Yeah, it was in... That entire advert process is just ripping off a character he played in Pulp Fiction. That's what he does with his days now. He just sort of does adverts.
But you know what the bizarre thing is, Danny? For that advert, he will have been paid millions of pounds.
I know, but it's not about the money, Lewis.
It is if you're doing an advert for Direct Line.
Yeah, this is about the money. But
It would be about the money if we started making any.
yeah, I mean, no, I do it for the craft.
Like how Daniel Day-Lewis makes fine Italian leather shoes.
Yeah, he does that now. What a nut job. Fuck me. 3 Oscars. Yeah, I'll just stop and make shoes.
I mean, I'm going to make some shoes. That's on my career plan.
Okay, Mr. Lewis, what's your next big career move? I think I'm going to make shoes.
Has Daniel Day-Lewis been replaced by Stewie from Family Guy there?
I think I'm going to make shoes, Brian.
Right, that might be
who's-
maybe Daniel Day-Lewis
who's Brian?
material for a while.
Do you remember we watched There Will Be Blood?
We did watch There Will Be Blood, yeah.
All we did was do really bad impressions of Daniel Day-Lewis.
Did you hit your head? Did you hit your head?
Were you hit in the head?
Yes. Anyway, have you got an opening statement, Dan?
Go on, BGT. So, here's an impression we all know. There will be blood. Okay, sorry. I'll focus.
Amanda
now.
Holden just comes and murders you on stage.
Yeah. Louis Walsh sends me through to the live shows.
You can't sing, you can't dance, but I'm putting you through anyway.
And Dick, golden buzzer. Okay, so a disturbing character study on loneliness and misanthropy. We follow a person that revels in his disgust, and due to his social conditioning and past trauma, he is led to do horrendous things, all the while thinking he is a hero.
Very good. I agree.
Yeah.
All the while thinking he's a hero. That's very accurate. At no point... if you played this film ever so slightly differently, directed it slightly differently, set it in a slightly different part of New York, it would essentially be a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Like, Luke Cage does a very similar thing to to the climax of this film. In the Luke Cage series, he, breaks into this this building where this mob boss is running his operation from and, throws people through windows and steals a load of money, or he might return the money, or he does something with some money. But, it's similar, but it's just a slight setting tweak that makes it into a superhero thing instead of a bizarre, harrowing, play-by-play drama film.
Yes. It's so interesting how just small tweaks, now that you've brought that up, small tweaks can just change the entire perception of a film. Do you remember when Joker was coming out and all you heard was it's going to be really violent? It's like Deadpool is 10 times more violent than Joker.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
And
Deadpool
nobody
beheads
said a
people in that
word.
film.
Nobody said a word because it was a comedy. But when you make it serious, it's, oh my God, it's a dangerous film. It's just bollocks.
It's one of the weird things I always think about Joker films whenever they come out, is that whatever the next actor is that is picked up to play the Joker, he will say that he's done something insane to get into character.
Yeah.
He'll be like, yeah, I killed 3 squirrels every day for a month to get into the character. And everybody will be like, whoa, he's really ready to play the character of the Joker.
Yeah.
But, imagine that for any other role. Imagine if Ben Affleck was like, oh, I'm in this new rom-com with Jennifer Aniston, and I killed 3 squirrels every morning to get into character for a month. You'd think, what? Get him into prison? What the fuck? It's kind of insane.
Yeah, I sent dead rats to my co-stars. It's like, fuck off. That's not...
That's
God.
some kind of a crime, I think,
That
Jared
is-
Leto.
Yeah, that is just surface bullshit.
But anyway,
Anyway,
my opening statement is...
What are we doing?
An intense and quite harrowing film about the nature of masculinity in a changing world makes some very strong points about the nature of choice in a world where other entities by and large control your choice in its entirety.
Yeah.
Good stuff, eh?
Excellent.
Have you got any
Okay.
cheeky CRQs?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to hit my coffee cup against the mic stand a few more times. Just don't mind me.
Please do. What do we think of Travis as a character?
a fascinating character, really, because I think he's sort of an everyman in the worst possible way. Like he speaks to a lot of or speaks of a lot of sort of undereducated people that are just angry and they don't really know why.
Yeah.
Like I think that's why it was a good move to make him sort of almost illiterate. It was these, like they say, what's your education like? And he says, oh, I don't know. I just did bits and bobs here and there, sort of thing. And like you see him writing, and he's like writing with a pencil in print, sort of block capitals, and he can't really read and write. And he's sort of trying to romanticize his own life, even though he doesn't really understand why he's angry, or why he's disenfranchised, or why he's doing what he's doing, or why he tries to kill the congressman or the senator or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly... I mean, I may be reading it, but I think it's probably when he was in Vietnam, he's probably sustained some trauma there that he hasn't resolved.
That's what I read into it as well. The green jacket was very Vietnam, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he said it's like military history, it's like honourable discharge. You know, and he Betsy says, the woman that he becomes infatuated with, says, quotes a limerick saying that, about a person saying he's a walking contradiction. Travis is exactly that. He he says, oh, someone needs to clean up the streets, and yet he drives through and picks up, you know, criminals and prostitutes and things like that. You know, he says, oh, I'm gonna get myself into a good shape, and it's all about being healthy, and he pours liquor on his cereal, he lives you know, he enjoys his displeasure, if you know what I mean, because it affirms his paranoia and his eventual hatred of everyone around him. It's like he says, oh, I'm going to better myself, but he just keeps falling down.
I quite... It's... For me, I likened that him trying to better himself and keeping on falling down. It was quite similar to some aspects of Fight Club, in a way, which is a film I definitely want to talk about. That's probably one of my favourite films of all time.
Definitely.
But that one, the line that kept sticking out in my head is when Tyler Durden and the narrator from Fight Club are on this bus, and they point at an advert that's like up at up above the handrail on the bus. And it's like a male model posing in like Calvin Klein underwear, and he's like got like ripped abs, and he's like dead muscular and all this. And they say self-improvement is masturbation. Do you think that guy could fight me? Sort of thing. And it's about the reason they hate this man that they've never met is because he represents this mythical version of masculinity. And I think that's what Travis is trying to achieve in this film. He's trying to become more masculine, and he's trying to be good to that prostitute that he sort of like became infatuated with and tried to give her a better life.
Yeah.
Even though he did end up killing people in front of her, because that's the clash between like as in the uber masculine The Rock in Fast and Furious 23 or whatever it is, where he kills 100 people and then goes to a bar and drinks a beer and doesn't really care, and also between a sort of nurturing kind of masculinity that you see in films like it's the only one that I keep thinking of, but say Fantastic Beasts, where Newt Scamander is very sort of nurturing to these animals that he's taking care of, sort of thing.
Yeah. He's
sort of trying to achieve both of them in this, what's the word, the contradiction, like you just said.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw this film a good few years ago, he deceives us as a character. He makes out as if he wants things to be better, and you think, all right, okay, so it's going to be a vigilante film where he But what he really is, everything he does is for himself. Like he says, oh, I want to help Iris and I want to get her out of this place. But he tries to kill himself in front of her.
Yeah.
And the only reason he doesn't is because he fails and he's out of bullets. Everything he does is for his own self-gratification. And you know, this clouded heroism that he somehow thinks that he has.
Yeah, and what you said about vigilantism, that really does ring true with me. Like, the opening sort of half an hour, it played a lot like Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Was that M. Night Shyamalan and Bruce Lee? Not
That's
Bruce
right.
Lee, sorry,
No,
Bruce
no,
Willis.
Bruce Lee. You're getting all the names.
I am.
mixed
I'm
up.
not doing well with names today. It's not a good day.
Oh man,
I have a question.
go on.
What is more intense, Robert De Niro's journal or Rorschach's journal?
Oh, Rorschach's. Is it? Yeah, okay, thanks for shouting in the middle of the fucking...
But yeah, Rorschach's journal probably is a bit more intense. But I don't know what came first, Watchmen or Taxi Driver, but I was very surprised by the parallels between Travis's notebook and Rorschach's notebook.
Yeah.
Even down to, like, there are scum on the streets and they need to be cleaned sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
The difference is that Rorschach actually believes what he's saying, and I'm not convinced that Travis does. He's angry, and
He's picking up rhetoric to justify his anger. Yeah.
He doesn't know why he's angry,
Mm.
and he's projecting his anger onto everything else, and it's everyone else's fault. It's society that's wrong. It's like, I have nothing to resolve. It's everyone else.
Yeah.
Which is, it's so this film makes me feel really uncomfortable when it's one of my favourite films of all time, but I feel really uncomfortable when I watch it because I've been sat and I understand. You completely understand why Travis feels like this.
Yeah.
Because I've felt like that. I'm sure everyone has. I'm sure everyone has at some point just felt
Frustrated and disenfranchised and...
Yeah, it's everyone else's fault, and it's just so easy to just give up and just think, I hate everyone, and it's not my fault, it's everyone else's. It's just so tragic and terrifying to think that someone ends up the way he does.
I have a question that I've only just thought of. It's not in my list of CRQs, but it's in my head. Is Travis sort of a proto-incel?
Well, yeah.
Because it's like he has that sort of typical sort of incel view of I must be right and everybody else must be wrong. Like what's that Principal Skinner quote? Oh no, it's the children that are wrong or something like that. It's that.
Yeah.
And then he goes to a porno theatre to relax. That's just his idea of chilling out, not trying to go on a date find a girl. It's just like, I just go ahead and chill. That was weird to me.
He's obsessed with women, and because I think he's had such little interaction romantically with women, like Betsy, who is just being a normal person and is just being nice to him. His skewed view of the world just immediately thinks, there's a connection that we have, and we're different from everyone else. He's trying to sort of, I still hate everything and everyone, but if I have someone that hates that with me, then it maybe won't be as bad. And he has no concept of the sort of social world that Betsy lives in. He takes her to this theatre without realising that it's wrong, because he doesn't have any sort of frame of reference for anywhere else. This is his life, and he's so surprised. He's like, I don't know a lot about movies. It's just like, and that phone call when he tries to amend things with her. What Scorsese literally pulls away from him because it's that uncomfortable. It's just it's so good. It's so cringy.
I have a question again.
Go on.
What are the pills that Robert De Niro is taking throughout this film?
Maybe antidepressants or.
That's the thing I keep coming back to. I'm not really sure because he mentions headaches briefly, so I did originally think, are they like painkillers or something? But then on the same level, if what you were saying about he's traumatized from Vietnam in some way, maybe they are some kind of psychological medicine. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Maybe, but he says he's gonna get better, and then he keeps on
Doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just there's just so many things wrong in that scenario. It's just I'd imagine that if you worked as a taxi driver for long hours in a very sort of rough part of New York, and you've had a traumatic experience, seeing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, just sort of destitute and crime, and just I'd imagine that it would probably have a big effect on your psyche.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
And he keeps on he keeps on doing it. He doesn't want the streets cleaned up, because then he would have nothing
to do,
to be angry at or to be upset with.
It's like the classic sort of Batman trope to some degree of, like, if Batman is waging a war on crime, if he eventually apprehends every single criminal, is he just going to sit on the sofa? What does he do with the Batcave? Do you know what I mean?
It's that quote from Ultron in the Avengers. It's like, he sort of scoffs at Captain America, and he's like, God's righteous man, pretending that you could live without a war. His enemy is his purpose, his fuel.
Sure.
Which is a very destructive way to live.
Oh yeah, it's there's something I quite liked about this film as well. Is it's sort of, this is going to sound like a really dumb way to say it, but I promise I'll try and explain. It felt like I was watching a film which was playing in Travis's head. Does that make sense? Like like the music sounded a lot like if Travis. It's very stereotypical music.
Yeah. Like
if Travis watches a lot of TV, he could be imagining this music playing when he meets such and such for the first time, or when he shoots somebody for the first time, or whatever it might be. Yeah. It felt like he could be generating this music in his head, and like shots of him in his apartment were very sort of artistic in a way. Like there's the one immediately after he shoots the guy that's trying to stick up the store. He shoots him and then walks out and goes home, is the implication. And then when he's at home, he's like leaning back in his chair and he's got the gun held up by his head, and he looks really cool and like really sort of suave, and it's like this sort of glamorous imagining of him, version of himself. But then when he's actually at the store, he just says, "Hey," and then shoots the guy. And then he's literally stood there panicking. He says, "I haven't got a permit for this gun. I don't know what to do. And I don't know what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what should I go? Should I?" And then eventually the shopkeeper takes the gun off him and brutally beats this bloke that was trying to stick up the store. But like, this film feels like it's playing in Travis's head.
Definitely.
Which is a very interesting stylistic choice, because it's like that lends something as well to the "you talking to me" scene, because that's what that is Travis writing a script for his own film.
Yeah. He's not even had an altercation with anyone, and he has such a sort of very unforgiving view of people. He's almost getting off on this confrontation that he imagines himself having with this random person. And he gets off on, oh, well, I'm going to act tough and stuff like that, and it'll end up resulting in me killing the person. I mean, it's just so... You're right, it's just everything... I think everything is skewed for him. Even at the beginning, when we see the sort of titles, it's like everything is almost like neon. When it looks as if it's his POV and we're driving through and everything is like sort of... I don't know.
Watery. It's like someone took a picture and spilled a bucket of water on it.
Yeah,
and the ink sort of ran.
That's right. I think that's his sort of. I think that's the way he sees it.
Yeah, sure.
It's not. I mean, it's New York, but it's not New York. If you know what I mean. It's like a parallel, very dangerous, very vibrant, sort of aggressive New York. That only he
New York
really
turned up
sort
to
of
11.
Perceives. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Everything's full on all the time, and that's emphasised again when he's looking into the cup of water. It's like he starts staring at it, and he keeps staring at and he stares at it until he finds it threatening. He's so removed from, these guys are having a conversation, and it's to the point where he actually is like threatened by this cup of water. It's like getting very close and very violent. It's just, and you can see in his face, it's just making him angry, and it's just, everything is a threat. Everything is, he hates everything, and everyone. I have a question.
I like it a lot. Yeah, hit me with it.
Why is hatred so appealing to those that hate?
This is something that I have only just come up with on the fly, so bear with me. I think it's because we as people and as consumers are sort of taught to hate in a strange way. Like if you, at news sources, the easiest news sources to digest, things like the Sun newspaper or Piers Morgan on Good Morning TV or whatever it is, those are often sort of filled with vaguely hateful things.
Yeah.
Like headlines that are often more negative than positive, even if they're telling some kind of a positive story. Like if you would struggle to tune into GMTV or whatever it's called nowadays without Piers Morgan having a rant at somebody that's come on the TV. I think that sort of hate, and he doesn't suffer fools gladly, that sort of mentality is encouraged in this world to some degree.
Yeah. Does that make Travis right then?
No, I don't think it does. I think it makes Travis... I think Travis in this film is a victim of the society that he's in a strange way.
Yeah.
In that he doesn't know why he's angry. And if Travis had been driving around a different city, in a different country, in a different street even, there's every chance in the world that he would have decided to not go after a pimp and a drugs pusher or whatever Harvey Keitel's character was. There's every chance he would have decided, okay, I don't hate pimps, I hate whoever else, and then gone on a massive war against this entirely different demographic. He is angry and he doesn't know why, because he's sort of uneducated and he doesn't understand the world around him.
If he lived in a sort of nice place, with lots of rich people and rich houses, he would end up hating the rich.
Yeah, definitely. He would become like a super anti-capitalist or sort of thing.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh, I'm not political," and then he puts up pictures of Palentine's posters and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna vote for you, sir," and then he tries to kill him. It's like, and I'm convinced that he wants to kill Palentine because Betsy rejected him.
Yeah, that's the only conclusion I came to with that.
Like,
I was thinking about it all day, and I have no idea why he wants to kill the senator. Or was it the congressman?
Yeah. It's just, I think he just thinks, well, Betsy's working for him, so clearly, because everything is so black and white for him, it's like, well, she works for him, so by implication, she must really believe in him. I mean, I work in a taxi and drive around and see all the horrible scum on the streets, and he is obsessed with that, so he assumes that, well, if I'm obsessed with my job, then she's obsessed with her job, so the best way that I can hurt Betsy is to kill Palentine and his skewed sort of view of the world. And then, in turn, he's still fueling his heroism as if it's like, oh, I'm doing good. It's like he's, they're all the same, but he's just doing it to hurt this woman. And I think that she would be shocked by it. I think she'd be, horrified to see a man killed in front. But it's just, I don't think it would. She's not deeply close to Palentine, but Travis just thinks that, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill him, and then that'll be me. I'll have one up on her, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he lives in his own bubble. He's concocted that reality for himself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you said, that is very akin to the way incels think.
And I think if this film had been set in the modern day,
Yeah.
It would have been an incel story in a way. In like, he would have gone online and found people who are similarly disenfranchised, and they're saying, yeah, well, it's all women's fault, and we all hate women, or whatever it is
Yeah.
that incels say. And then he would have hated women instead of pimps, I guess.
And it's hard not to pity them. You know, it's just it's so pitiful what they do, and what Travis does. It's just he's not. It promotes. It's like incels believe that you can't better yourself. It's like your designation in life is set in stone way before, like, as soon as you're born. You know, based on artificial character traits, that's you, and your happiness will be determined by that. And it's just so, and it's so alien to me, but it's just, and it's so, it's almost, I'm trying to put it into words.
Yeah.
It's Travis. It's Travis.
Mm.
It's so skewed. It's so in their own minds, and all you can really do is get angry or just feel cringely sorry for them. It's just, I don't know. That's why it makes me feel uncomfortable thinking about that. It's like people like this exist in the world. It's not a fanciful tale about Gotham City going up in rebellion and this clown killer, you know, comes this symbol of chaos. It's like, no, this is people believe things like this, and people, due to past traumas, can become someone like this and have done violent things. It makes me feel really uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's a combination of sort of fury and I don't know, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's a horrible thing to watch happen.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let me see, what else?
I have a bit of a two-part question in a funny way.
Go on.
The bit after the shootout, when he's in the pimp's place and he sort of mimes shooting himself in the head, and then it sort of cuts to, does it cut to black or fades to black or something like that, and then the implication is he was in a coma, and then he wakes up and goes back to being a taxi driver, essentially.
Yeah.
Did that after shootout bit happen in a coma dream?
Well, that's a debate that's been had for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
Was that the end sequence? Was it in his head? Was he imagining it? Personally, I don't think he was imagining it. I think it was real. I mean, like, it's almost a sort of twisted version of a hero story. It's like, yeah, you know, this hard-working man just doing what he has to do, and then immediately after he's better, he goes back to this scummy place that he detests and equally needs in order to validate his own fears and insecurities. And Betsy gets in the taxi, and he's no longer interested. She is just a passenger like everyone else now. You know, she's another reason to hate, and he'll do it, and I'm sure that he'll do it again. But
the thing I sort of threw me most about the end of the film is, like, does everything just work out fine for Travis? Does he not see any jail time? Does he just go back to his job, back to his flat? Because that's the implication, is that he wakes up out of his coma, and everybody's like, yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's fine then. You killed 3 people, but I guess that's alright. You killed 3 people and scarred this child for life, but, you know, that's probably fine. And then he just goes back to his day job. That's a bit weird, right?
it is a bit weird. I know the details maybe don't sort of add up, but thematically it makes sense. To me, it's like he's learned nothing from his experience, and Betsy sort of like offers like the interaction with Betsy. She's now able to sort of. I don't know if she's attracted to it, but I don't know, but she's certainly not as repulsed by him as before. You know, and because he hates her, and yet she's validating his own heroism. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, because I did this thing, and now I'm back to work, and everything's fine.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and the girl who was repulsed by me is now, in the back of my taxi, trying to make conversation with me. Again, it's this. Everything is about him. Everything is. I hate everything, and I need to be a hero. It's just. He just doesn't learn anything from his experience.
Yeah, it's such a funny film. Watching it, I mean, it's not quite a side splitter, but it's a strange film in that it like. If you told me he died in the shootout and that last bit was happening in his mind, then I'd believe you. But if you also told me, no, he was in a coma for a month and he woke up, I'd believe you. It's completely up for debate.
Yeah.
It's such a weird ending in a strange way.
Yeah.
I also like how, going back to that thing I was saying about how this film, it's like it's happening in Travis's head. I know that sort of New York City in the 80s was a bit like The Purge. Like there was murder capital of the world or something crazy. Loads of really horrible violent crimes were happening. But like, this is turned up to 11 in this film. Like, there are pimps just doing their thing. Like, Travis goes and hires a prostitute at like 11 a.m. on a Tuesday or whatever it is. Like, I mean, Christ knows I've never been to New York City, and I certainly wasn't there in the 80s, but to be so flagrant about things like that, and Travis saying things like, well, the cops don't care, the cops aren't going to come, sort of thing, they aren't going to clean up the streets, I've got to do it. I like how that, it's his worldview that he's projecting out onto the rest of the world.
Exactly.
And he's sort of altering their responses before they get back to his head, so that they agree with him in a certain way.
Yeah, and he just partakes in it. It's he is just a walking contradiction. His fears fuel his hate. His hate fuels his heroism. It's just an endless sort of cycle. And what else was I gonna say? I forgot.
It's alright, I've got a question. You know the drummer that was stood outside of the porno theatre when he took that girl on a date?
Yes.
What did he signify? What's that all about?
I'm not sure.
Because there were too many close-up shots of his face for him to just be a background detail street performer type thing.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, this clearly means something, but I can't understand what. In my thinkings about it, my thoughts, as some people might say, I thought it could possibly be in reference to some kind of war thing. Like, in like old school medieval militaries almost, they used to have like drums to rally out like a battle cry or stuff like that. I thought maybe it could be something to do with this is Travis entering combat almost.
Yeah.
This is how he views everything in his life, and he's viewing this specific relationship as entering combat in a weird way, sort of thing.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just another sort of nod to how even the most innocuous things make Travis angry, and how he's paranoid about everything. And did you notice that every time a black person is on screen, Travis and the people in question have this sort of stare off in a way?
I didn't notice that, actually, no.
It's all like, I think it's like Travis is a victim of society, and he's projecting his sort of disadvantage onto a group of people that are even lower than he is on the sort of,
on his social barometer.
Yeah, exactly. And like he has these weird instances where one of the taxi drivers who's black sort of points a gun and sort of goes like that, and Travis looks as if he's about to fight him, and there's pimps sitting at tables, and they're sitting sort of looking aggressively, and Travis, and they're black incidentally, and I think this is probably Travis just sort of making a mountain out of a molehill again. Just sort of anything that could be perceived as a threat is just a threat.
Yeah, like I think it'd be an interesting way to do the film would be to sort of do a reshoot in a way of like, but have it be what was actually there instead of what Travis saw.
Yeah.
Like those two pimps sitting in that diner, were they just two guys? And he was just his view of black people was, okay, they must be pimps then. Was that what he was thinking?
and there were like a group of young black people walking sort of through him and another taxi driver, and he was just sort of, and it's a good close-up shot of him just sort of following them as they walk on. It's just like he is just becoming so just this stereotypical racist, misogynistic incel type, you know. It's just everything is out to get him. Everything is wrong except his worldview and his way of living.
Yeah, and it's like he picks up these sort of prejudices along the way.
Yeah.
Like, he has a bad experience with is it Betsy? Betsy is the girl from the campaign office. He has a bad experience with Betsy, and thereafter he hates women. It's like he just picks up these prejudices from happenstance, almost.
Yep. Definitely. So
Got a couple
sad.
more CRQs?
It's so sad.
It is sad. It is a sad film. Because it's like,
It's horror. I mean, it's horrible. People that think like this are horrible people, but it's just like, it's just so sad to think that's.
it's
no
because...
no red flags are raised in their head when they think stuff like this.
Yeah, like,
It's just so foreign and just so out there.
Yeah, and you're sat there sort of realising he's a victim of society, and you think, okay, this is a sad thing, I feel sorry for him. And then he does horrible things, and you think, fucking hell, I'm not sorry for him anymore. Jesus.
Yeah.
Did no red flag get raised in between, God, I'm a bit angry today, and I'm going to kill 3 people? Was
Yeah.
there no point at which a voice in his head went, Travis, maybe you shouldn't start killing people. Maybe that's not the way to go.
And then he would have just left that girl there, covered in his own blood as he killed himself.
Yeah, because that was sort of his plan. Was
Yeah.
either to kill these people in this house and then leaving the girl he was trying to help, leaving her sat there, covered in blood, presumably,
Yeah.
or to kill himself. Because if he's trying to protect this girl and give her a better life, surely killing people in front of her is not the way to do it.
No, definitely not. It's not going to do anything but fuck her head up even more. Do you know what I mean?
No, you're completely right.
Um,
I have a bit of a question, bit of a statement, bit of a thought.
go on.
That letter card thing that he wrote to his parents for their anniversary and what was it? Anniversary, Father's Day, and his mother's birthday, or something like that.
Yeah.
He said a line. One day there'll be a knock on the door, and it'll be me. Because he said, I'm alive and well. I haven't died yet, and I hope nobody at your end's died. But one day there'll be a knock on the door, and it'll be me. Does he mean it'll be him at the door to say I'm back, him at the door to kill them, or him or somebody else at the door to say, hi, you're Travis so and so's next of kin?
I think he means when he becomes the ideal version that he thinks he needs to be.
Right.
I can't say for sure, but I don't think he thinks that he is himself at the moment. I think in order to do that, he has to have his metamorphosis of
Getting
violence.
ripped and killing people and yeah.
It's like then I'll be a hero, and then I can return and prove to my parents that I am, a person to be noted. You know,
Sort of like in Bohemian Rhapsody, when Freddie Mercury goes back to his parents' house and says, "I'm going to do a charity concert," sort of thing.
Yeah, not that Freddie Mercury is in any way like
No.
Travis Bickle.
Freddie Mercury is not at all like Travis in this film, but it's that sort of metamorphosis moment is what Travis is aspiring to, but he'll never reach
Yes.
it, sort of thing.
Yes. Paul Schrader, the writer, said that his name is also like a contradiction. Like he wanted the name like Travis because it sort of conjures up images of like travel and like romantic and very sort of Travis, and then Bickle, which is just it's
not a nice name.
Yeah, what do you think of Bickle?
It makes me think of pickles. like pickled gherkins and stuff.
Or like under the bows of ships and just things that are sort of a bit crawly and a bit so it's just this contradiction that he isn't ever one thing or the other. He can't make up his mind.
Yeah.
What trauma do you think Travis suffered when he was in the military?
To be quite honest with you, there was so much trauma in Vietnam that it's almost impossible to say to some degree. Like, it was such a brutal, horrible war that there's any number of things. The one thing that does stick out in my head is in Vietnam, American soldiers, there was quite a high incidences of heroin usage. Because it was much more readily available in Vietnam than it was in America. People were like, oh, go on, I'll try it then, because everything around me is really shit. So, I might try and feel good, as it were.
Yeah.
But then, interestingly, these soldiers came home where they didn't have a steady supply of heroin, and they were fine. Because they went from being in a sort of hellscape and having to take heroin to cope, and then coming home to their loving families and a job at the factory or whatever, and then no longer in this hellscape. So
Yeah.
the thing that I'm thinking is maybe Travis went out and got addicted to heroin in this hellscape, and then came back to almost his own hellscape in a strange way, this world of his own creation, which is sort of awful.
Yeah. I mean, if you join the military with no one to sort of miss you, and then go into a terrible, brutal war where you see many people die and kill people yourself, and then you come back to nobody and nothing, you could be forgiven for thinking that, yeah, this person is going to have quite a few problems and coming to terms with, try to settle in normal life. I think that because of what Travis saw, I believe that he doesn't just think that New York is like that. I think he just thinks that the world is just a scummy, violent place, and he'll block out any goodness and just say, no, that's not the world. It's I'm gonna keep driving, and I'm right, and I'm just gonna keep driving these horrible places. And this is the world. This is everything. And I have to fix it. I have to change it.
In that case, maybe that's what Travis saw in Vietnam. It's not so much the front lines, gory, his mates getting killed type stuff. Maybe it was just the horrible nature of total war. Maybe he saw villages full of like families and stuff that were dying or horrible things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the horror that really affected him, rather than the actual fighting. Was the looking into going through villages that have been completely torn apart and seeing families torn apart and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's almost like excuse me for getting political, but he's almost like America's foreign policy, isn't he? He's just like,
right.
We'll go into a horrible place, and I have to fix it, and we'll make it better, but just makes it a million times worse.
To be completely honest, I feel like I don't know enough about America's foreign policy to really agree with that joke.
Well, you know what I mean, like,
I understand what you mean.
Going into the Middle East and then, saying, yeah, we're going to get rid of this dictator, and we're going to make this place better, and then years on, it's like, no, it's still shit. It's even worse than when you left it. Do you know what I mean? I think it's trying to be heroic and not realising that what you're doing is just contributing to the problem.
To be honest, mate, I think I might have run out of CRQs. Have you got any?
I think I might have.
Ooh, go on.
I think. Can isolation truly change you into what Travis has become or becomes?
I think yes and no. Isolation on its own can't, but I think what Travis went through was isolation that led to some sort of an echo chamber in his own head.
Yes, that's a good one.
Things are terrible because everything I see is terrible, but then he only ever goes to terrible places. He only ever deliberately looks at terrible things. Would his worldview be different if he was the same amount of lonely and isolated, but instead he spent his time working with charities, or he spent his time volunteering at a dog shelter, and he spent his time feeding puppies all day? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would his worldview be different in that way?
Because because he's so biased, it wouldn't take a lot to sort of, it's aha, people die, I'm right. It's just like it's that sort of any evidence that solidifies his worldview will just be taken at face value because he feels he needs to be right about this. Because if he's not, what would he do? What could he do? He's just I just think he's incapable of settling into normal life.
He's almost an entity of he exists and thrives on the back of frustration and anger.
Yeah.
If he didn't have that, he wouldn't have anything.
Yeah. It's so good.
Mm.
It is so good. Did you know that when the guy gets into the taxi and takes him to his wife's lover's?
Yes. Yeah. That was a funny one.
That was Martin Scorcese.
Was it the actor in the back of the cab?
Yeah, the actor in the back of the cab.
Oh well, I never knew.
And I think it's pretty ironic that the director of the film directs Travis on this path to, destruction.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's in all honesty, I've spent a lot of years sort of saying, well, I don't really like Martin Scorsese films, and by and large, a lot of the Martin Scorsese stuff I've seen has been I've either watched it and thought, well, it's too slow, or it's too long, or it's too complex, or like I don't like gangster movies. And I think that has contributed to that. Like, I don't like gangster movies. And I know he's directed a lot of those, so that's what's contributed to it. But, this was sort of different in a way, I think. I enjoyed the fact that this was... Yes, it was a gritty film set in New York, like a lot of his films are, but it was also spoke about the human condition in a way that I think other things that I've seen of his don't.
Yes. And it doesn't hit you over the head with it. It's like you have to read into it. You have to be an empathetic person to understand what Travis is going through.
Yeah,
which is what a compliment to the audience. I think it's like, you won't get this film unless you can understand someone else's point of view, which I think is very, very nice. But I think that might be me.
Well, hey. Well, have you got a closing statement?
I do.
Fantastic. Hit me with it.
It's easy to blame others. It's easy to fall into an abyss of loneliness and isolation. It's easy to despise those that reject you. But thinking like that is a one-way path to oblivion. You and all around you will be consumed by it if you buy into it.
I mean, right you are. That's the nature of these things. It's easy to hate. It's easy to be furious at something else, which is why the people that thrive on that do so well.
Yeah.
It's more difficult to be sort of all loving and to forgive people. It's more difficult to do that.
Yeah, love takes work and effort and cost. It's not, it's not a survival instinct. It's being better than your animal urges.
Yeah. Anyway, a film I enjoyed and will almost certainly revisit. Very complex and enabled by a very strong cast. Very impressed.
Excellent.
Short and sweet. So that's the way it's done.
Short and sour, sweet. Yeah. So that was Taxi Driver.
And somehow we got through an hour of podcasting without me mentioning that there is in
it.
fact a burger called the Taxi Driver. It is a GBK thing. I've never tried it, but I always wanted to. Anyway, carry on.
Okay.
But yeah, we broke an hour for the first time in several podcasts.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I mean it's only an hour and 10, but
we keep picking good films. Let's pick a trashy film for next week.
Yeah, because we haven't picked one yet, have we? Oh, on the spot. Oh.
I have a suggestion for a trashy film.
Okay.
It is a classic, highly regarded as a classic. I reckon Predator.
I know, but Predator's good.
Yeah, I know, but it is trashy sci-fi.
I know, but it's good though. Can you pick?
Okay.
Pick one that's really shit.
Really shit.
One that makes you go, oh my god.
Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Okay, let's do Suicide Squad next week then. What a classic
that's a good
film,
one.
highly regarded.
Suicide Squad. Dead rats.
Go on, it's time for the shilling.
Okay, right. Let me get my little bit of paper out.
The all-important piece of paper.
Yes. Okay. I'm on Instagram at O'Hiram. I'm on Facebook at Daniel Kerr. I'm on Twitter at Kerzo2000. What are you on, Lewis? I
am on Instagram at Lewis_Brindley. I am on Twitter at LewisBrindley4. I have a Facebook page also, which is Lewis Brindley. I don't know how to get that into the world, aside from this format on the podcast. I don't like Facebook very much. I don't go on it. I post, but I am not very interactive. So if you can find it, go and take a look. If you can find it, and then tell me how to spread the post about, because I have no idea. I could Google it, but I would prefer somebody to tell me. So, if you, dear listener, would like to find my Facebook page, please find my Facebook page and then send me a message saying, "Okay, so here's how you get lots of people to see your Facebook page." And we said Facebook enough times. Is that the Zuckerberg sponsoring deal? Is that sorted out?
How many friends do you have in your personal account?
I have no idea.
Over 100.
Probably.
Right, well, invite all of them to like your page.
Okay. Okay, nobody messaged me. Danny has just told me. We're all sorted now, everyone.
That's what I did.
Okay, good. I'll do that. I'll treat myself.
Yeah, it's very easy. It does it all for it does it all for you. The first day I got it, that's what I did.
Okay, I'll do that then, and then I'll
5 weeks on.
Yeah, I'll do that, and then next week in the podcast, I'll tell everybody that I've done it.
And nobody liked it.
They all took one look and went, "Fucking hell, what's he doing with his life?"
God.
Anyway, that's the shilling. The podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are hosted by Podomatic, so you can find us at shoutingintothevoid.podomatic.com. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/shoutingintothevoid. We have a PayPal donate button link thing. So if a monthly subscription is not your thing, and you'd like to support the podcast, then go and check that out. It's on our website, shoutingintothevoid.podomatic.com. So yeah, I think that's the shilling.
We've got a YouTube channel as well.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, you were close, Lewis, but not close enough.
I'm doing it without a piece of paper. It's all a memory game for me.
I know. Lewis takes learning lines very seriously, but the cruel injustice is that I don't, but I can remember things ridiculously quickly.
Yes, it's the great fury of my life is spending hours learning lines to watch Danny learn his lines in the 10 minutes before a scene.
I know.
It's one horrible thing.
It's so horrible. Lewis puts so much effort into his craft. And I show up 5 minutes before
still drunk from the night before.
I have no idea what's going on. I just sort of go, all right, okay, that's the lines. And because I'm just good at remembering lines quickly. But Lewis has got his fucking noted. He's got annotations, and he makes one mistake and he beats himself up. And I just swagger on and just go, wow, generic Eli line, and then. You almost got really angry one time, didn't you? How the fuck have you learned it so quickly?
It was we were doing a scene in. I mean, this is just going onwards now. We've had a second 10-minute bullshit almost. But it was this one scene we were doing in the science classroom at Elmsmere, and I had spent literally like hours the previous night trying to learn these lines that I was really struggling to learn, and I've like sat at my desk highlighting them, making notes, writing them out, and I was like really struggling, and it took me quite a few takes, but I did it in the end. And I literally, because I think I had a speech, and then there was a bit of back and forth with somebody else, and then you had a speech. So I did my speech, and it took me quite a few takes, but I got it. And all through these takes, you were like sort of sat at the desk in the classroom, little script in front of you, learning your lines. And I sit down, it's like, right, your bit now, Danny. One take, he comes on and does it, and I was like, what the fuck? I remember being so furious at the time. I was like, it's not Danny's fault, and it's not my fault, but I was so fucking mad.
It's so cruel. It's just like, I feel bad.
You should. Oh, crikey.
So we tidbit, we story. Oh.
But anyway,
join us next week for more.
Yes, join us next week for, what are we doing? Suicide Squad. Yeah. I'm sure we'll find some fault with that otherwise perfect gem of a film.
I don't know. I mean, it's pretty damn near perfect, Lewis.
I mean, in my mind,
mean-
it won Best Picture.
How 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 are you supposed to know that the Joker's insane if it doesn't say so on his body?
No, we've got to save that for next week, Danny. We've got to make next week's episode good.
How are you gonna know? How are you gonna know he's damaged if it isn't on his fucking forehead?
Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. We'll see
Thank
you next
so
week.
much. Yes. See you there, or listen to you there. Hear you then.
It's one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.